Ed, we just started to meet you, and we were talking about what time it is. So I have 9 a.m. right now, and
Yep. It's 10 a.m. here.
10 a.m. there.
Yeah.
6 p.m.
11 here in Chicago.
Woo!
Oh, that's great.
Oh my goodness.
I have to go at 10:15. I have another appointment, but I wanted to come in on and say hi and get this working anyway.
I am so glad. So you know what? Since Ed has to go out early, maybe I will just start with Ed. You and I actually spoke yesterday, and you talked about where you love to be. Christine and I, the other Christine Zeitzik, and I talked, and she told me where she loves to be. I'm going to find out where Dane loves to go, or where in his community or his country he just feels so happy. And hi, Shannon. I see her jumping in here. She is such a great supporter. I just love her, and I haven't had a chance to hug her yet. She's also in a different time zone than I am. So Ed, where do you love to be? Where is it that you go and it's your soul filler?
Well, you see it right behind me here. I love to be in the mountains. So every chance I get, which is usually about once a week, I'm going on some hike that's far too hard for me.
You love to challenge yourself.
Yeah, I get halfway up the hill and I think I'm never going to do this again. But the next week I'm out there again. So tomorrow I'm going on a hike. It's called Johnson Canyon. I'll see lots of really cool waterfalls. And so, yeah.
And I know that you are in Alberta.
Yes.
In Canada. Are you actually in Calgary?
Yeah, I live in Calgary, which is about an hour and a half drive away from some amazing mountains. And so it really works for me. Yeah, that's right. Been here for 8 years. Yeah, my children, my grandchildren are here. So it's just perfect. Really love it. It's also the sunniest city in Canada. So just put that in your little brain for some trivia question that you might have.
Well, everyone that's on the screen, raise your hand if natural light or sunlight is something you gravitate toward.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I can't be in a dark spot with, and for some people that is so focusing. So Ed, since you're only in here for a few minutes, could you also tell these people that you probably haven't met before?
Yeah.
Christine and Dane. Jeanette's popping on. I know Marianne wants to make her way in. I think she's just getting plugged in at work. Why did you choose the title for you said you called it a project?
Yeah, not retirement.
Not.
Yeah, not retirement. And so there's a cool little story that goes along with this. And it has to do actually with this picture that's behind me right now. So I was hiking in Mount Assiniboine Park, or hiking to there in any case. And it's an internationally renowned destination for hikers. It takes about 2 days to get in, 2 days of hard walking with big pack sack to get in. And so we did that, and 2 days there and then 2 days out. So it was a 6-day trip. Anyway, on the way in, my companion and I, we've hiked for many years together, and he's 6 years my senior, but he out hikes me. We were good way in, about 3/4 of the way in, and we ran into a couple of younger fellows, probably in their 30s, and so you always stop and you talk, when you're on the trail. So we stopped and talked, and one of the things he said to us was, "I am so impressed that the two of you at your age are still doing this." And so I didn't really say anything, I just kind of put that in the back of my head. But I thought of it as I continued, and I thought, well, I've just always done this. I've never really not done this, and so what's so spectacular about doing it? And it got me thinking that there's a social expectation that when we get to a certain age, we will actually stop doing things. And that's just not really in my blood. Still doing it. That was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm still doing it. And so I thought we really need a cultural shift, because our generation, the baby boomer generation, is not the same at 70 as our grandparents were, or even our parents were. We're substantially younger than that in so many ways. And so the expectation that we would check out and step away really doesn't hold. It's not appropriate. And we need a cultural shift to adjust to reality, to our physical, mental state and our attitude. We need to do this differently. And traditional retirement doesn't hold anymore. In fact, it was a cultural shift that occurred right after the Second World War. And so it's not even 100 years old yet. Prior to that, people didn't retire like my parents and grandparents retired. They didn't check out and just, play golf till they dropped. They worked right until the end. And people are doing that now. They've gone back. The social experiment failed, and people are now continuing to live, continuing to engage, continuing to be significant and socially important because they want to be. That's much more fulfilling than checking out. And so I've been a career coach for longer than I would care to admit. And I thought,
you can admit it.
I thought, let's think of this, 55 plus or 65 plus or whatever it is. Let's think of this differently. And I tried to come up with names, and there's a whole bunch of names people put it, the golden years or the next chapter or the third act or something like that. I don't like any of those. I was walking down a snowy road when I was thinking of this, and I said, it's just not retirement. It's not retirement that we're doing. So I said, well, let's call it that. Let's call it not retirement. And so I've been working on this for about 3 years now, considering this phase of life as an opportunity to engage in another career. It doesn't have to be a money-making career, just something that you're passionate about. Let's call it not retirement. Let's change the cultural paradigm and do what boomers have done, since we were born almost. Let's change society as we move through it and do this differently.
Ooh, let's change society as we move through it. And I speak in terms of as you continue into the third of your life, because there isn't a point and there isn't a defined amount of time. So Christine Zeidzik, who is in a different time zone than everyone on the screen possibly, your beautiful place, the place that you go to that's soul-filling and restoring, and tell everyone here about yourself, unless you see someone who already knows you, like Jeff, who I will say, I've always called you Zamanda in my mind. Zamanda, you're Jeff Zamanda, or Jeanette Bach. Unless you already know her and you're like, oh yeah, we're best friends or something. But Christine, for the rest of us, tell us that beautiful spot you like to go to. You talked about yesterday.
Right. So for $6, I spend 4 hours of my workday surrounded by water at Lake Michigan. I seem to think better there. I observe people. And that's what, this is really all about, is trying to observe people and their activities and use data and all those wonderful things to find out what people really like. And so I've really gotten into data over the pandemic because, well, I was bored out of my mind and activities were limited. So here I dove in and I found out that what I already knew. I've been in the death care industry for 33 years. 20 years ago, I jumped ahead of myself and everybody else, I guess, mostly in the United States. And I opened up freestanding bereavement shops. So I thought, well, nobody really likes to go back to the funeral home for like grief support because, it might take a while before it's okay to walk back in those doors. And the hospitals would offer. And that was a sore spot for me in regards to my uncle. I was a candy striper for the Veterans Hospital local. And after he passed there, it took me off of the schedule of being a volunteer. I couldn't. I'd get in the parking lot. I'd feel anxious. And so, as we well know, the pandemic moved us very quickly, from what would have been brick and mortar. So 20 years ago, a freestanding bereavement shop like Hallmark for sympathy combined with this artsy, walk in and pick up some stuff and start making something and using your hands. And it became a free coffee shop for a lot of people. And I loved it. And I funded it all the way through as long as I could. I moved that out as a licensed agreement during a divorce. This industry that I'm in, it takes a toll on the workers. Yesterday I was reflecting over a loss, and everybody that I've been involved with over the years, I've taken very personally and seriously. So when I have those moments, I have this little ritual that I need to do to kind of clean that off. And at the end of that day of reminiscing and such, or the couple hours I'm allowed to heal, at the end of the day, I have to get real sudsy, and my skin's so dry when I'm having a lot of bad things happen or losing a lot of really wonderful people in a row, because I'm just scrubbing and I have to watch all the suds dissipate at the drain until they're all gone. And it's just like that. That may be crazy, but it's taken me through unbelievable deaths. What I've observed over the years and what I've allowed the pandemic to do because of aging, I guess, and other limitations that I have medically, now we can do this all just like we are today, getting people together and allowing the internet and AI and everything else wonderful we have coming with technology and Meta to take over and take that place and try to diminish some of the loneliness where the grief support is not being met in communities. And I'm thrilled that all this wonderful technology is available and being introduced into nursing homes and memory care, because these resources are a way to keep people from getting, really lonely and disconnected. And this fun gathering, that you have here on the panel, that we're not talking and screaming about, the news. And I don't want to say anything like, politics or whatever, and war and all this awful stuff is getting bombarded at somebody who feels like already the world is, rough enough. And, we're not keeping up like we used to. So this positivity. So Miss You Much is what I'm bringing as my end game to the industry, so that we can collaborate all the things that really make sense to go together to bring Death Positive forward. So, having not retirement, I know he had to go, and different wellness approaches to grieving. It was very, very common, and unfortunately it still is, to say, here, take some pills. You're going to need these, you're walking out of the doctor visit that you have after you've taken care of somebody for years, and now they're gone and you're struggling, and they still want to prescribe things to make you feel better, and I watched as a little girl. I didn't understand, but I learned through the next time that we had like family members leaving us, that my aunt, when her son passed away, she got hooked on pills. I really didn't know. Like, I thought she was the fun aunt, but she was like really just drugged up all the time. And it had some really bad consequences when they decided they needed to stop that, and she couldn't have any more. It had an impact on her, and she wasn't the same person anymore. So I want to use this opportunity, this horrible pandemic, this life change, this reset, whatever you want to call it, to collaborate, not to be the best business of this business, it to be bringing together the best of the best, so that in one space somebody can come in and find out about what to do next and how to plan next, and even have fun with how to plan next, creating scenarios of your final exit from this world. I was doing prearrangements for 25 years before I maybe came up with this epiphany. But families would tell me when I was making prearrangement, which was very addictive, you'd make a prearrangement with a family, and they would get all their affairs in order for the cemetery and the funeral home, and they would be so relieved. But really, what they were telling me that they wanted, as I was filling out and procedures, the funeral home contract and how much it is and what else you need and all the requirements and all these fees. And I'd get down to the bottom, and people would say, oh my gosh, my family could have such a beautiful party with all of that money. Well, I create parties, and I help empower other people to create parties, because like not retirement, funeral starts with the word fun, and not everybody's going to agree with that, but I somehow feel like it's something to look forward to if you put the right spin on it. And so I'm going to take advantage of this time to bring that spin out again. 20 years ago, when I got my first patent and trademark for freestanding bereavement shops of creative, events. I might have been ahead of my time, but I'm right on time. No,
yes,
I might even be just a little bit behind, but we're going to catch up really quick with using collaborations instead of trying to just be one sole business. I'm the dishwasher, I'm the bookkeeper, I'm the cook, I'm everybody. It's everybody's farmed out, and the best of the best get to rise and showcase themselves on missyoumuch.com.
Yes, Christine, that I was imagining this morning this giant vat of yuck, and that people are standing around whatever the yuck is, and they're pouring in their different colors, like food coloring, and they're pouring in their colors, and it just keeps stirring, and after a while it's changing, but it takes everyone pouring in. Dane, you took off on your own. You told me once, you said, I'm not a scientist. Is that correct, Dane?
I'm not officially a scientist. I'm not a researcher. So everything what I do is always observe. But
yes, you're making observations. You've done some experiments. You've come up with something. She mentioned earlier about her skin. And you and I have talked skin a few times now, some of it this way and now voice to voice, and a little bit on Clubhouse. So talk about your work with skin.
I mean, yeah. I mean, skin. It's more on sweat, night sweat. What I do. I invented something 5 years ago, and I went in it to totally. It's totally another story than I just heard. But I love it to hear everything. This is
Yeah.
it's. Oh, wait, maybe I can show you as well in my small camera. Yeah, I think. It's fun. So, but this is just a ribbon of paper. If you roll it out, you put it on your mattress sleeve is on top of it. On chest height, you place it, and the mattress sleeve is on top of that, and you just sleep on it. And by that, we can measure nocturnal perspiration during sleep. And to think about it, on all the biomarkers that exist, where is night sweat? So yeah, the bridge of skin is easily made in my context. I'm a tech nerd. I studied electronics. And 5 years ago, I went by coincidence. I found this biomarker because it's a biomarker, a phenotypic digital biomarker under validation officially. But it can bring us a lot of good new insights that we never searched, never seen, never tried. And that's comfort in bed. Patient care, think about for all of them, for all of them who are always in bed, and their bed is their house. They always sleep in bed. What do we know about how they sleep, how they sweat? What is their comfort? We don't know anything. Yes, and we have the invasive markers and the watches and the Apple watches, etc. Sorry, but it's not it. It's all, yeah. This one is what I do is really non-invasive, non-intrusive, and if longitudinal measurements are even more trickier to understand what sweat can tell us. And so yeah, this is what we do. We do a lot of research in this space, and very soon as well, we're going to do a group of 10 elderly in a nursing home to understand the comfort in all these rooms. All of these rooms, all the persons are different. And I mean, it's just a simple measure, thinking of forgetting the air conditioning, just to simple understand what can sweat bring us. If we know, we can act on it, interact. If we don't know anything, we can only guess. Now, and that's what this world is all about. We're only guessing about our sweat rate. So I can officially say, every human body sleeps, and everybody has a sweat rate. The only thing is, in this world, nobody knows it yet. And I'm here to find out. And I think it's a very good step for me to go into the patient care and wellness, because if we're talking about aging and getting older, I try to get the best for everybody on this planet the older we get. So I think that's simply I think, yes.
Earlier, you and I were talking about if you care about a person who continues to live, continues to mature, one of the things that's going to come up in conversation was, how did you sleep last night? Or in my situation, my mom turning 91 tomorrow is always hoping that I sleep well. Sleep is just right up there. And you're talking about people who are confined to bed for maybe the rest of their life, or for a long amount of time as they are rehabilitating. People who are unable to even voice for themselves, how did I sleep last night? Or why did I kick the covers off because of any cognitive difficulties? There's so many things. And you're talking about collecting data so that can be researched, so that the different levels. You and I have talked science already, because you tested it on yourself, and you're going, and these factors changed, and I noticed that this changed. Is that significant? Should that be part of the data that people who make decisions about you, all the different people, should realize, you know what? They need to have something different on their bed. They need to have something different happen during the night when we think they're sleeping soundly and they're not sleeping peacefully. I can't imagine anyone saying, you know what, I just, it's okay with me if I just don't sleep well.
No.
So
No. So
But
is this ready? Is this being brought to nursing homes and studying people who are bedridden to the point where you're measuring comfort levels and making adjustments? I'm trying to learn because I came in on menopause. Remember?
Yes, of course. I mean, if we go to the symptoms when sweat occur, we have a lot of illnesses and of things that our body is giving us back. Hormonal sequences and cycles can the imbalance of that one, hormones, but as well nutrition, food, drugs intake, all that kind is changing the sweat rate, but as well the atmosphere around you, the moist in the air, the temperature, of course.
Humidity,
Stressful, humidity, yes, exactly. So a lot of factors that we can say, yes, you can think about everything and it will spin your brain, it will fry your brain with all the possibilities, but I always take it back because it fries everybody's brain. I went to a symposium. I was being invited to a symposium about thermoregulation. It was about skin. I mean, we sweat in first place to cool down our body, and that's what we use our skin for. That's why we sweat, to vaporize and to cool down the body, and by that your core temperature gets lower. Oh, my camera is a bit of I'm turning into a rat in tomato. That's fun, but. It's no. I try to stay calm. It's my first stream, so no, okay. But so we do with different universities. We collaborate. They do really the fundamental understanding of how this equipment is working, because it's ridiculous. But I showed them already, and they were blown away. As well on the symposium of thermoregulation, because they never seen a longitudinal measurement over 10 days. Nobody in this world could ever show me. No professor. I reached out to everyone, really everyone. And it's simply because this instrument never exists. So we can see the hormone female cycle, for example, on sweat rate. We are not there yet. It's pretty crazy to see that history. We learned a lot from history, but for us humans, it's very difficult to say no. We have to rewrite that history as well, because we are the history we are writing as well, the future. So, to give you one simple thing, I always try to make people think: what's the unit of sweat? Good luck. That's where history stood still.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I have an example of something I do remember. My dry cleaner diagnosed something based on how my underarms were changing the color of my clothes. She told me that my pH levels were bad. This is going back 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I'd wear a blue dress and my underarms would turn pink, and I would wear, and my perspiration was changing the color of the clothes. She told me I was under way too much stress.
The chemical substances of your sweat, right?
Right. But that's the truth. I mean, that's an example of something I went through, and I learned from that. Your stress hormones and such can come out into your sweat in such a way that they change the color of your clothes. She said it was a dangerous stress I was in. Yeah, and language barrier and such, but yeah, that's what happened. I believe in what you're doing.
Wow.
I hope to hear more. We should connect and stay connected.
If you check out mattresses,
we'll connect. Hey, Jeff.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. He sent me a message and said, I really want to support you. And all I want is for people to talk about aging. And Jeff has a lot to do with that. Go right ahead, Jeff.
Well, first I want to say, this is really cool what you've got going here, Christine. This is great. And I've really enjoyed what I've heard. Yeah. Do you have a website, Dane?
Yes, I got a website.
Yeah.
But of course, I always have to ask them, the head moderator. I'm not here to make my own promotion. But no, yeah.
I'd like to check it out. Sleep is a big deal. The skin is a major organ. and perspiration is a big deal. So I just find it personally interesting.
Perfect. I mean,
Right. So if he looks up Q strip, or Dave Vanderwerf, he's going to find what he needs. Is that right?
All right.
Perfect. Yeah, you can always reach out to me. I mean, yeah, perfect. If you go on my LinkedIn, you can see how in 5 years I developed the whole project. It's all in my posts. So this, all my posts on LinkedIn are only focused on night sweats.
All right, excellent. Well, I have a few patents myself over the years, and it's based on ergonomics, you know. And so my latest patent is it's an international patent, and I've got a couple of them, but it's for a ergonomically designed for the fingertip. It's for the hearing aid speaker to help people maneuver it into their ear canal. It's called Groove Button Technology. And that website is eachear.com. If I can promote that, I fit hearing aids for 12 years. And so I know that it's needed, and I know that it works, and I designed it. Yeah. And I've tested it. So that works. I've also developed a basic hearing aid training for caregivers. And so it's just the basics. When you take care of somebody, it gives the caregiver an understanding about hearing aids. And it's really amazing, but they've never been trained in hearing aids. So they don't know that the right hearing aid typically turns them both up, and the left ear turns them both down, and you know, about batteries and where the microphones are and cleaning them, and that, just the basic stuff. 40-minute course I put together, and it's all free. And then now I'm just launching hearingtestprep.com, which is focused on, I've got big plans for this, but it's focused on preparing people and caregivers to go in for the hearing test. And it's a Facebook group, and it's all free. And it has some of the best examples, the best speakers in the world, the best presenters in short little bits, to give people preparation so they know what the heck's going on when they go in for a hearing test. And like I say, I've done that for 12 years. I've retired almost a year ago now. But yeah, so that's what I'm up to. And I've met you, Christine, on other programs, and I think what you're doing is terrific. Clubhouse, yeah. And I think you're wonderful. Yeah. And I appreciate, you have to be working amazingly hard to do everything you're doing. And I appreciate that.
I am so glad you all came to the table today. I'm just privileged. A short while back, I came off of a caregiving day as a hired caregiver. I was so tired, I just didn't care anymore. And I picked up my phone and did what my adult daughter taught me. Well, at that time, teenage daughter taught me to do. And so I went to lonely spots and recorded myself, and I brought it home, handed it to my husband, who was very accustomed to being recorded, being live, handling tech, inviting people in, feeling great about all this stuff. And I said, here you go. You said I should have a website. I should start somewhere. I just recorded myself saying stuff, and that's on a different website that I never send people to. But I haven't taken it off the internet because I want to remember when I was so tired, I just didn't care about how I was afraid and what if, and no one will understand my concept. And, you know, this is what I'm seeing in the individual homes, the private residences, with the people around me who are not my client, who are saying, what am I going to do when I need, you know, who's going to do this for me? How do I even talk? People don't want to talk about their future aging. Let's just leave that. You know, we don't want to prepare. We don't want to plan. I'm going, you've done it all your life. Everything that you wanted to go well you pre-planned and you talked with other people and you got some research going and you got some ideas, you went on the internet. Why not for the third of your life, no matter how long that's going to last, because it could last a lot longer than you expect. So I'm just so grateful, and I am dismal that I have to cut this off. This will happen again next week. There will be different faces who tried to get on today. I am going to be sending a message to one of our friends who was at the table and was listening very quietly. I'm hoping that they will come back. I am just so glad that each of you, including Ed at the beginning before he had to leave, that each of you came today, and it never fails that everyone's going, wait a minute, I want to know more about that. Can we talk some more? I want to connect with you. And that's just it. Let's just, keep pouring in our different colors and mix and see how things change and how much we can bring to each other. So I'm just going to say goodbye to all of you and wave, because I've taken you past the bottom of the hour. And I'm just so grateful to everyone who came on and made comments, and those who listened quietly. And we'll see you again next Wednesday. Goodbye, folks.
Appreciate it very much.